right, family. All right, and all right. What's going on this afternoon? October the 7th, family, right? How are y'all doing out there today? We hope you are having a powerful and impactful start to your week. We hope Monday and Tuesday went well for y'all, right? This is something that we've always done over here. We're just pouring this over onto the TikTok live community. Matter of fact, hang on one second while we just share this real quick. And we're back. Family, the more and more that we keep doing this thing, man, I like this. I gotta say, we understand that we got haters out there, right? Miss Taylor Swift already told us about it. Family, if y'all have a problem with the so-called, and we talk and we address things all day on this podcast, we're gonna do it all day. If you have a problem with different people groups on this planet, family, I don't know what to tell you, but I can tell you that we all have a responsibility to one another down here, right? We have been reading from Manhar Deep Singh's book on the 12 universal laws. Of course, in having discussions about this, I've heard that there are more than 12 and all this kind of thing. Again, we like keeping it simple around here, right? We don't need 55 of them and 95 theses and all that. We don't. To our Christian brothers and sisters, and I am one, right? Understand that this, a lot of these rules, again, love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, right, with all thy strength, with all thy mind, and love your neighbor as yourself, right? As a result, here we go. Family welcoming us who are a different view family, who believe in, who love after, who hunger and seek. We are seeking, family. You gotta, if I can stop here for a second, we gotta be people who are seeking a thing, man. Are we even looking anymore? Are we even searching anymore? We're truly said Mass has made a good Negro, man. Of course, we use the word Negro instead of a word here that's used as our detriment. Because again, if you're telling us we are negus, Negus, then that's talking about black rulership and royalty. If you're not, though, then I don't know what you're talking about. We're not trying to excuse massa, and we do not put this at the feet of everybody. We put it at those who are in the mentality of who think like massa and those who are friends with massa. That's not everybody, clearly, right? Which is why we say for black folks, right here while we're in the open. Again, do not be agents of listen. On the plantation, right, after slavery is done, then they get into this idea where they're going to have a good old party, like your Democratic and Republican Party that you hold so dear, right? This is not a diss, so please, right? This is not a diss. We're just saying what it is. Okay. They got to get your cooperation to screw you. Kind of like the movie Sinners. If they're going to eat you alive, they got to get your okay first. This thing don't operate without your okay. All right. Do not allow, this is why we say it. We're going to keep on saying it because repetition is necessary for learning. Do not allow the poison that poisoned you to continue to hurt and poison you one more day or others. There ain't no need. There is no family. They don't need. No need to do that. Okay. We're going to continue on in the topic. The first chapter here is speaking on divine oneness. Okay. We're going to continue on speaking on this, right, before we get to the next one. Okay, and we're not going to tell you what it is unless you've got the book, and you would know what it is. Okay, so we are not gonna say what it is. Right, we're gonna leave some surprises. Okay, this is fall season, family. Right, so again, those who hunger and seek and are searching for that which is a different view, family, welcome in. Right. Again, today's topic, we're going to be talking, continuing in the topic of the 12 universal laws. Again, as you see the universe made, especially in Genesis, before you get to Christianity and Judaism and all of this, there is a thing, if you want to say it that way, there's already a setup, a foundation by which humans operate that is put here by the Maker. If you do not believe in God and all that kind of thing, we understand. Normally, what we do say on the podcast is if you do not agree, it is good to peer in the window just to see what's going on, because these are the people that you interact with on a daily basis, right? This idea where we're like, it's your world or nobody else, kind of bothers you and stuff, family. We live that. When you're talking 6-7 billion people, family, it's kind of hard to avoid, folks, right? This is why it's also silly that one people group assumes, whether Aryan or whatever name they want, whatever name they want to put on themselves, right? KKK, whoever it is, right? Daughters of Liberty, it don't matter. There's a whole bunch of these silly groups, right? Thinking they're superior to you. It does not matter, because you live down here with a group of people, right? So again, this is not to set up which one's superior. This is just to live in harmony. We can clearly see what it looks like when we try to set up the superior thing, right? So maybe less of that. Or maybe not. Maybe we double down. The thought that come to my mind, right, talking about doubling down when you go to the casino, right? And being an AEW fan, we just got caught up, not caught up, we're not fully done with the episode yet. 6 years of AEW. Long live the revolution, family. At some point, you got to understand, you got to get fed up with the thing. Again, people who get mad at the NFL doing certain things and all this kind of stuff, Negroes, make your own league. Okay? We assume for some odd reason, see what they did was took the shackles off your wrists. I heard it said this way. It's very impactful because it's real. You would not have the brothers while ICE is running free, terrorizing. But see, this is no different than moving natives and slaves from Florida, because you want Florida, and kicking them out and sending them to Indian territory. Excuse me, we call it Oklahoma now. Right? At some point, family, we got to understand that maybe this is bad behavior with malintent on the mind. Nothing noble. They got to come to you looking like they're your friend. Again, they took the shackles off your wrists, but they know it's still in your mind. That's the only way they would stop allowing you to not drink. Brothers and sisters, we're talking so-called black people. Understand there is general and specific speech, family. Especially this language we're talking, there is general and specific speech. So when we say brothers and sisters, it's a double entendre. It's both humanity and we're talking dark brown tan skin tone people. Okay, specifically, right? And every once in a while I will let you know. Specifically right now we're talking to our black brothers and sisters. The reason that in the black codes they didn't allow you to drink and now you're allowed to drink is solely because of the fact that they know you're going to take alcohol and screw yourself with it. You're not going to hurt them. Because again, when you look at the code, the reason that they did not allow you to drink is because they knew when you was going off a fifth of whatever you was drinking. And since Uncle Nearest whiskey is a thing, you was probably drinking Uncle Nearest, right? Some of them brothers and sisters were drinking their own people's whiskey. But I digress. Same dude who taught Jack Daniels his recipe. This is something you can look up online. Uncle Nearest whiskey. Tastes a little bit different, a little stronger. I know for our Christian brothers and sisters, we got a problem with drinking. I get it. God put the thing down here for you to be able to use to drink from, to be okay with this life. But we know, see, y'all already parked on the side of the road waiting for Jesus to come back. When you've been told down here we have work to do, that the harvest is plenty and the workers are few. And we can clearly see why Christ would say that, because too many of the workers on the sideline waiting to go to heaven. Maybe, just maybe now. Hold on. Just maybe we need to pick them bags up, save them in a good storage unit somewhere, put them gloves on, and start getting to work, finding the people like the Good Samaritan who have fallen upon thieves, and are bleeding and dying in the street. Maybe we need to get there. Right? Maybe we got to get there. Because unfortunately, we got people bleeding and dying in the street, family, and we just stepping right over the bodies, and we waiting to go to heaven. And we get in our little spiritual bag and in our feelings, right? We get in our feelings now. And then we start coming out with verses, and we start turning into prophets and preachers, and again, ain't got nobody. We rather prophesy on how to have somebody get married to somebody that they shouldn't be, right? But we ain't got no prophecy and foretelling, so on and so forth, about where we need to start putting our money instead of taking it every time it's in an offering plate, putting it to Chase Bank and Bank of America and Wells Fargo somewhere that benefited from slavery. Man, maybe some of that. No? Yes? See, unfortunately, family, right? Again, we're not, we don't read, we're not thinking. We're letting them tell us what's going on. So let's continue on here in this whole deal here about divine oneness. So last time we had left off with this paragraph that you are connected. You, your dog, the tilapia you ate for dinner, or whatever you ate for dinner, that pig, because unfortunately black folks eat way too much pork. Piggybacking off of our Muslim brothers and sisters, right? Shout out the Muslim community one time. Unfortunately, there's something that goes on here where we assume that they're wrong, and again, all have sinned. Can we say it and say it bluntly, family? Because again, we keep trying to do this. Which one is better? Nobody better. All have sinned means all have sinned means all have sinned. So, as a result, when we listen to our Muslim brothers and sisters talk about pork, same thing goes for any scavenger-like creature, family. If you base that as your diet, we're just saying on our perspective, we're putting our spin on it. If you base that as your diet, family, what do you think you're eating the animal that eats the slop? How do you think that works? How do we think that's going to work? Is that going to go well for your body? Pork belly and all this, delicacies is one thing. See, like salmon, things that give omega-3s. I know, like as kids and stuff, and even for me, hard to put these things in the diet, but they're necessary, right? They're going to give us life. These vegetables and fruits, family, if it's only 2 or 3 you eat, base your diet off that. Base your diet off that. Base your snacking off that. See, although black folks made potato chips, I know, right? We kind of like, what the Negro made what? Yeah, we know. See, again, Black Labor, White Wealth. Everybody should get that book from Dr. Claude Anderson, man. Everybody, man. Everybody. Okay. George Crumb. Y'all look up George Crumb one time. Okay. At some point, y'all, we got to understand that it's time for us to find out this knowledge. Right? It's time for us to know. We can know. A lot of people started with a lot of uncertainty. We can know, okay? We can know. So while we got potato chips, and these wings, these buffalo wings, man. Shout out John Young. Shout out John Young, man. 61. Wings and things in Buffalo, New York. Come on, somebody. We got to stop. We got to start giving credit where it's due. While we feel, and again, the wing is not, the chicken breast is where it's at, family. That's not so-called white food. That's healthy food. Just like we was told in Sesame Street, right? With the broccoli and everybody, there's healthy food. Tastes so good. I need some healthy. Sorry, I apologize, right? Just having some fun there. Let go a lot of this weirdness that they've given us, y'all. Because it ain't nothing but a bunch of nothing. So the dinner you ate, your boss, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for some, right? The writer of this book goes on to say, Dwayne the annoying barista, right? And again, not just the annoying ones, but also the cool ones, right? The ones, the not annoying ones. We're connected. We both come from the same place and share the same energy. That's real. Okay. Again, we have to say this, especially speaking about Black folks. If y'all are okay hustling down each other and doing Gestapo type actions, following after the so-called white man, and again, I'm trying to figure out how you better than them, acting just like them, right? There's this quote unquote black card and cookout that we're okay with not, and you read a Bible that tells you about how people are supposed to act when they come up in your borders, but then y'all don't let nobody in your borders. I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out where the hypocrisy is coming from. At some point, we need to just say it as plainly. If we're all connected, now again, if these fools, and it must be said that way, because you're operating in deception. If you come out your mouth and start talking a whole bunch of mess against the dark brown and tan skin tone people on this planet, then that's a whole other subject. Because we ain't about that over here. So we need places, especially if we're all going to be together, which is why I believe in separation. This is just me, right? But at the end of the day, if we're going to talk about being together, then at some point we need to be for real together, right? So we ain't gonna come up talking about what job you can't have and what brain power you don't have, right? We ain't gonna talk about what is going to be how better off you were in a different time period. We ain't gonna say nothing like that because we know you weren't. For everybody waiting up in the sky and what's going to happen and what's going to be worse and all that kind of thing with the rapture, which we don't discredit here. As a Christian, I believe in that event. However, you can have your own coming away right here, right now, before you draw life's last breath. You come away from these fools operating stupid with you. We're just saying what it is, man. Okay. Interjectedly connected, right? Coming from the same place. This may be hard to believe because our egos are so good. So when we say ego, right? Maybe it's a good point just to interject this here. And again, we ain't gonna keep y'all long. Ego's definition. Do you know what it is? Do we know, family, what ego's definition is? If I could get the computer here to do computer-like things right about the time when you need something to work, that's when it don't. So give me 1 second. Ego. Who knows what ego is? If you know, type it in the comments. Again, we're going by the definition. We like doing definitions of words and phrases. We ain't listening to what Master telling us. I'm good. We're talking about the words that they have given us to speak. Right. According to Oxford's dictionary, this is as a noun. This is what we're saying when we say this. A person's self-esteem or self-importance. That's your ego. So now every time that you ever hear the word ego, again, Scripture tells us, do not think more highly of yourself than you ought to think. That does not mean you should not think highly of yourself. It means when you go too far. So when you speak on somebody's ego, right? When you see that thing is way low or way high, that's where you know there's imbalances. This is for all of us. Okay? So let's plug that definition back into the book here. This may be hard to believe because people's what did we just say it was? Self-importance, yeah, or self-esteem, their sense of it, are so good at highlighting our individuality as well as our differences. So it's hard to believe that we're connected because we're out of balance in how we look at each other and how our sense of how we look at each other. That's why we miss it. And we're going to explain around it, but this is why we miss it. Egos are so good at highlighting our individuality as well as our differences. Now, again, understand that we have to recognize them both. We're different and we're the same. We're individual and we're collective. And when you try to go off on one or the other, that's where you're screwed. Of course, we are separate people, but this is only for one level of reality, the physical level. You and I are both physical expressions of the same energy. You ain't got to believe it, family, right? In fact, all living things are manifestations of the same source energy. This is the law of divine oneness. A quote here from a brother's name I'm not going to try to say because I'm going to mess it up, right? But people normally cut reality into compartments. Again, this is why I say it, I've always been saying it a certain way here lately, which is we put distinctions where there are none. We put differences where what are we doing? People normally cut reality into compartments and so are unable to see the interdependence of all phenomena. To see one in all and all in one is to break through the great barrier which narrows one's perception of reality. Good God above, man. That actually is where we're going to stop. That's where we're going to put the pause in it, family. Again, we ain't but like 8 pages in this thing. So again, when you see stuff going on with Mr. Ryan Walters and him leaving, again, let's get a superintendent over in Oklahoma that really cares about education and these teachers and these students, educating young minds in the truth. Now, again, this thing is owned by a group of people here who want to keep a group of people subjugated at the bottom. And you can make your excuses that that's not what it is. That's okay. That's, we're just telling you what it is over here. Right. As a result, we have to be aware of the ideas to keep you dumbed down. Find out as much information as you can. There's a whole initiative of going and doing homeschooling. I don't know whether it was in Oklahoma or where it was. Understand that if you're homeschooling, what source are you pulling from? Are we pulling from the same one that's got everybody not knowing what's going on, and you start finding out inventions all over the place coming from Black folks, like a light pole, not a light pole, traffic light, right? Or your mailbox. Again, we just talked about potato chips and chicken wings, right? Super Bowl coming up. People got a problem with Bad Bunny, but guess what? Everybody going to be eating them wings. Guess who made them? I mean, it's saying, man, right? Black and native mix. This dear brother, right? Let me just pull up his name. I just closed my computer. Let me just pull up his name here real quick. John Young, right? John Young. We just say his name plainly, man. John Young, Buffalo, New York. Shout out New York one time, man. And then speaking on which, man, since the idea is to divide and conquer, family, we got to say it plainly, right? It's about dividing and conquering. If that is the case, then understand that the idea is to keep us fighting. Stop fighting with each other. Start listening to each other. And once you listen with a heart open, knowing that we're connected, it's interesting what you find. It's interesting what you find. We got to listen to each other's pain. Your brothers and sisters, your Black brothers and sisters, family, as all other people, groups of the planet, listen to what they're saying. They're going through real pain out here, right? The quicker and the closer we get to doing this, the quicker and the closer we get to our own freedom. And oh, as the song says, what a glorious day that'll be, right? So that's what we got for y'all today, family. Thank you for walking this road with me. We will repost this on TikTok. I know there's a couple I might have to put on YouTube as well. We don't want to hold out our YouTube community. Again, you can find the podcast on Spotify, Pandora, and Apple under the title A Different View from the artist KJ. You can find this podcast as well on YouTube at A Different View 80. That's the name of the channel. Again, family, thank you for walking this road with me today. And as always, and until next time, look to find the beauty in a different view.